everyone and welcome back to Studify Success. Today we are here with another chapter which is Chemical Reactions and Equations from class 10th. You can access the notes of this chapter from the description section, and for more content you can always visit our website which is studifysuccess.com. So let's begin this chapter by a brief recap of what we have already studied in our previous classes. So moving to physical and chemical changes. This is something we have done in 6th and 7th standards as well. So physical change and chemical change are the two types of changes we see in the environment. Physical change is a change in the physical properties. Please pay attention to this. It is a change in the physical properties. What are physical properties? Physical properties are the properties like the shape, size, color and state. These are the four physical properties of matter which we see around us. So the shape of any object, the size of an object, the color of an object and the state. What do we mean by the state? State is whether an object is in solid state, in liquid state or in gaseous state. So if there is any change in these physical properties, we call it as a physical change. Now moving on to chemical change, if there is a change in the chemical properties of an object. What are chemical properties? Boiling point, melting point, all these are the chemical properties of an object. If there is a change in the chemical properties, we call it a chemical change. To understand the rest of the differences, we'll refer to some examples. For physical change, we have tearing of paper, and for chemical change, we have burning of paper. So for example, if I have a paper and I tear it into 4 parts, I'll get 4 new pieces of paper. The paper will remain the same. There is no change in the paper. Hence, no new substance is formed. Whereas for burning of paper, if I burn the paper, I will get ash of the paper. That ash formed is different from the original paper and hence is a new substance. Similarly, we say that physical changes are reversible. I can fold the paper and I can press it again and I can get the original paper again. But I cannot get the original paper from the ashes which I have burnt. So that is why chemical changes are said to be irreversible. So now we know what a chemical change is. Let's move on to how do we know that a chemical reaction has taken place. So we have 4 parameters which help us determine that if there is a chemical reaction taking place or not. The first parameter is change in state. Whenever we have, for example, a solid compound and we are heating it and we observe some gas evolution. So we know that there is a chemical reaction going on due to which there is a change in state from solid to gas which we are observing. The second parameter is change in color. If you recall, there is an example which we studied in class 7th when we had copper sulfate and we had iron. Moving ahead with 2 very important examples of chemical reactions. First example, we have the burning of magnesium ribbon. So magnesium ribbon is a long thin strip of magnesium. So for burning of magnesium ribbon, we first rub it with sandpaper. Why do we do it? We do it to remove any impurities if they are present or any oxide of magnesium if there is present on the magnesium strip. So we rub it with the sandpaper to make it pure. Then with a pair of tongs, as you can see in this figure, with a pair of tongs, we carefully hold the magnesium ribbon close to a burner. When we heat it or when we burn it, we observe that in a watch glass kept below, we have a powder-like structure which is magnesium oxide. So after this complete process, what is our observation? We observe that magnesium ribbon burns something like this. When magnesium ribbon is burnt, it produces a very bright light. So something this kind of structure is observed, and magnesium oxide is formed. So this is our observation when we burn magnesium ribbon. The next example which we have is the reaction between zinc granules and HCl. HCl is hydrochloric acid, one of the strongest acids. So the reaction between zinc granules and HCl. So here you can observe in this figure we have a conical flask. This is in the shape of a cone, so this is called a conical flask. Above this there is a cork by which we plug it on the conical flask so that no gas escapes the flask. So we have at the bottom, we have zinc granules. Zinc granules are nothing but solid pieces of zinc. Then we have dilute sulfuric acid, or we can obviously add dilute hydrochloric acid. So we have these two acids and we have zinc granules. When we keep it for some time, what do we observe? We observe that zinc reacts rapidly with hydrochloric acid to form zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas can be seen evolving from this glass tube. This is an exothermic reaction. What do we mean by an exothermic reaction? By an exothermic reaction, we mean that temperature is releasing from the reaction, that heat is being produced. So when we touch this conical flask, we find that the conical flask is hot now. So this means that the temperature of the flask has increased. So that is why it is an exothermic reaction and a large amount of heat is produced in this reaction. So we have these two very important examples of chemical reaction. So now that we have understood what a chemical reaction is and we have seen some examples of it, we should know that how should we write a chemical reaction. If I have to tell someone that this chemical reaction has occurred, or if I have to write the chemical reaction, how will I write? So considering the example, the magnesium ribbon burning example which we saw in the previous slide, let us write it in various formats. The first format or the first form we have is the sentence form. Let us make a sentence of it and we write, when a magnesium ribbon is burnt in oxygen, it gets converted to magnesium oxide. So here in this sentence, we are reporting the complete information of the reaction in one sentence. As you can see, this one sentence, if you have to write 10 such reactions, it is a very tedious and a very long task. So these type of forms is not preferred while we write a chemical reaction. Second form is the word equation form. So I have substituted these big sentences with small words with a plus sign in between and an arrow sign in between. So the compounds to the left hand side of the arrow are said to be reactants, and the compounds to the right hand side of the arrow are said to be the products. Reactants are the original compounds which are used for the chemical reaction. Product is something which is formed after the chemical reaction. So let us write the chemical reaction which we observed, the burning of magnesium ribbon. The same sentence we are converting it to word form. So here we can write magnesium plus oxygen gives us magnesium oxide. So this is the word equation form of the same sentence. So here we have definitions of reactants and products as well. You can check this. So this form also is comparatively shorter than the sentence form, but still it is a bigger form to write. If we have to write many such reactions, it is difficult for us to write. So these were some of the demerits of the sentence and the word equation form. The third form which we have is the chemical equation form. It is a much simpler, concise form which we use these days. So chemical equation form, we simply just substitute these words to their chemical formulae. For example, we have magnesium. We substitute magnesium to its chemical formula, which is Mg. Similarly, oxygen, we write oxygen as O2 and magnesium oxide is written as MgO. We use a similar concept of plus. We write a plus sign between the reactants and we use the arrow symbolizing the product. One thing which is to be remembered here is that the arrow should always point in the direction of the product. It should not point in the direction of reactants. The arrow indicates that this is the direction of the reaction. So the reaction is forwarding from the reactant side to the product side. That is why the arrow should always point towards the product. So there is a similar concept again. We use a plus sign between the reactants. The left hand side is the reactant side, the right hand side is the product side. There is a similar concept which we had here in the word equation form. Just the difference is we use the chemical formulas instead of the words, and this makes this whole equation a much concise, easier to understand, and a short way and an easier way to write our complex reactions. So we can use this to write simpler and even complex reactions of. So now we have a very important topic, which is balancing. Before coming to balancing, we should know what is the law of conservation of mass. I think you may have heard about it or you may have studied about it, but law of conservation of mass simply states that mass is neither created nor destroyed during a chemical reaction. So what does this mean? So for example, if I have 10 grams of a reactant, that 10 grams remains 10 grams even after the reaction. The reactants and the products we use, the amount of the reactants and the products both are same before and after a chemical reaction. This is what the law of conservation of mass means, that the mass can neither be created. This 10 gram cannot be 11 gram. This 10 grams cannot be 11 grams, and this 10 grams cannot be reduced to 9 grams as well. So this means that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed in a chemical reaction. So this thing is very clear. Now we know, for example, if we look at this equation, we have magnesium, O2 and MgO. If we count the number of atoms both on the reactant side, which is the left hand side, and on the product side, which is the right hand side, if we count the number of atoms of each element, for example, for magnesium, we have one atom at this side and one atom at this side. So it is satisfying the law of conservation of mass. Mass is neither increasing nor decreasing. If we see oxygen, oxygen has O2, which means there are two atoms of oxygen in the reactant side. But at the product side, we have only one atom of oxygen. What does this mean? That this equation is not satisfying the law of conservation. Such equations which does not satisfy the law of conservation of mass and have different number of atoms on the left hand side and right hand side of the reaction are said to be unbalanced equations. So if the number of atoms of each element on the LHS and RHS is not the same, the equation is said to be unbalanced. Now what is the solution? We need to make this equation balanced, because we need to prove the law of conservation of mass. So to satisfy this law, we need to balance the equation. That is, we should have equal number of atoms on the left hand side and on the right hand side of the arrow. So such equations which have equal number of atoms of each and every element, not just one element, of each element on both the sides, are said to be balanced equations. Now let us understand how balancing of a chemical equation is done. This is a very important topic, and for sure one question will come out of here in your exams. So balancing of a chemical equation. Now here we are considering this example. We have iron plus water giving us iron oxide and hydrogen gas. So let us check. Firstly, the first step which we should do is to draw boxes around each compound. So we draw boxes around the formulas of each and every compound, around iron, around water, around iron oxide, and around hydrogen. So one thing which we have to keep in mind here is we never have to change anything in between this box. We can change, and we will change the number outside. We will write something here, but we cannot change anything inside the box. That will cause a change in the chemical formula. So we cannot and we will not change anything inside the box. That is why these boxes are made. This is a precautionary measure, that we do not change or fiddle with the chemical formula. So we will change everything which is outside the chemical formula. We will write numbers there. So first step which we do is we draw boxes around each formula. Once we have drawn the boxes, now we compare. We are counting and comparing the number of atoms on the left hand side, which is the reactant side, and on the right hand side, which is the product side. We'll count. So let's start with iron. On the left hand side, we have 1 atom of iron, and on the right hand side, we have 3 atoms of iron. You can see here. So we have written 3. Now coming to hydrogen, we have here 2 atoms of iron. We do not have to count molecules, we have to count the atoms. So this you should keep in mind. So for hydrogen, we have 2 atoms of hydrogen and on the left hand side, and 2 atoms of hydrogen on the right hand side, which means that hydrogen is balanced. We do not have to balance hydrogen, hydrogen is already balanced. Now let's come to oxygen. Here 1 atom of oxygen is there on the left hand side and 4 atoms of oxygen are there on the right hand side. Once we have created such a table, we have counted and compared. Now we'll know that if there is a need of balancing or not. So now we know that iron and oxygen are not balanced and we need to balance iron and oxygen. Now we are starting to balance. So one tip we have which we commonly use is we start balancing by the most complex compound which we have. And even in the most complex compound, we start with the element which has the most number of atoms. So here in this chemical reaction, iron oxide seems to be the most complex compound. Now in iron oxide, oxygen has 4 atoms and iron has 3 atoms. So out of both of them, oxygen has more number of atoms. So we'll start by balancing oxygen here. So we'll start with balancing oxygen. Okay, so we'll start with balancing oxygen first of all. So in the original equation, we can see that we had 1 molecule of oxygen on the left hand side, on the reactant side, and 4 molecules of oxygen on the right hand side. Now we have 2 options. Either we can change these 4 molecules to 1 molecule, or we can change this 1 molecule to 4 molecules. Now we know that we cannot change anything within the box, so we cannot reduce these 4 molecules at all. So we have only one option, which is we have to increase these atoms to 4 atoms. One very simple way, by using basic mathematics, we know that if we write 4 here outside H2O, we can make this 1 atom of oxygen to 4 atoms of oxygen. So we have written 4 outside H2O. Now if we see, we have 4 oxygen here and 4 oxygen here. So after this, our oxygen is balanced. We can write numbers outside the boxes, and by writing numbers outside the boxes, we balance various atoms. So we have written 4 outside water to balance oxygen. Now we have 4 oxygen on both the sides. But now if we check that if the other atoms are unbalanced or not, then we see that 4, so this 4 or any number which is written outside the box or at the side of the box is always multiplied to this small subscript which is written with any atom. So this 4 is multiplied by 2. So 4 2s are 8. Now we have 8 molecules of hydrogen on left hand side. Earlier we had only 2 molecules, now we have 8 molecules of hydrogen, whereas we only have 2 molecules of hydrogen on the right hand side. Now we need to balance hydrogen. So let's come to hydrogen now. So we have 8 hydrogen here, we have to make 8 here as well. So we add 4 here as well. So now we have 8 hydrogen here, 8 hydrogen here, 4 oxygen here and 4 oxygen here. So our hydrogen and oxygen are balanced. Now we just have iron left. If we look at iron, we have 1 iron here and we have 3 iron atoms here. So we have to make this 1 iron atom to 3. So we simply add a 3 here. So now we have 3 iron atoms on the left hand side and 3 iron atoms on the right hand side. Now if we check the equation, we see that the equation is balanced. Let us just simply have a look at the other steps as well. So we wrote a 4 here and now oxygen is balanced. So now we started balancing hydrogen and we wrote 4 here as well, and we balanced iron with 3. Now we count and check the correctness of the equation. We again count and compare if there are equal atoms. Let us do that. So we have 3 iron here, we have 3 iron here, we have 4 into 2. Always remember, the number outside or the number before the formula is multiplied with any subscript near the element. So this 4 is multiplied with this 2. Now we have 8 atoms of hydrogen and 8 atoms of hydrogen on the right hand side as well. And we have 4 atoms of oxygen and 4 atoms of oxygen on both the sides. So this indicates that our equation is correct and all the atoms are now equal and balanced. The last step which we keep in mind, which completes our balancing, is we have to indicate that whether a element present in our chemical reaction, what is the state of the element which is present. So if we have a solid state, we represent it with S. If we have a liquid state, we represent it with a small l. If we have gaseous state, we give small g representation to it. And if we have aqueous state, we represent it with AQ. What is an aqueous state? Aqueous state is when a salt is mixed in water. So that state is called the aqueous state. So iron we have as solid, so we have written S in parentheses or in brackets. Water, we used water vapor for this reaction, so we have written small g. Iron oxide we received as a hydrogen, we have received as a gas. So this is how we balance any equation. And at last, it is very important to denote and to represent the states of the reactants as well as of the products with their accurate representations, which is S for solid, G for gaseous, L for liquid, and AQ for aqueous. So this is how we do balancing. This is very important, and I'll also give you some questions for practice. You can practice those questions at home. So the more you practice balancing, the more you'll be better at it. So these are some practice questions for balancing. You can practice it at home. These questions are from your NCERT book and from NCERT exemplar as well. So this is all for this video. Rest of the chapter, which we have combination, reaction, decomposition, and various other types of reactions, we'll cover that in part 2 of this video. So please stay tuned. Have a good day and thank you so much.